Hey guys, Steven here. Fanatic Perspective, John Tran. I know we were down a little bit right now, but you know what? It's time to turn the page, flip the page, whatever the saying is.
Yeah.
It's Kansas week. First stop in the Redemption Tour. Before we get to all of our Redemption Tour talk and things we can learn from this Texas OU game, I want to give a shout out to our new sponsors, Boss's Ranch. Fantastic product, guys. We got our spicy Red River Ranch here and our normal ranch there. So if you want the kick or if you want your traditional ranch flavors, awesome product. We've been getting crazy good feedback on it. Matthew loves the product. He's a ranch head. John's kids are ranch heads. My wife, grew up with Hidden Valley and she's made the transition over to Bosses. So go check them out at your local HEB in the produce section.
Yeah.
How have you been enjoying Bosses, man?
Oh yeah. My kids. I don't even get any. My daughter just eats it
By the
handfuls.
gobs.
Yeah, but I mean, you can also check out some of their advertisements on YouTube too. We found out recently that they have a couple videos. Think of, I guess, the San Antonio Spurs HEB videos. They have a couple of those on YouTube as well. If you got some time,
Absolutely.
pretty quick videos as well.
So we'll have all their links in the description below for their Instagram as well as the YouTube. So shout out to Boss's Ranch. And the other one, we just want to shout out our partners and our buddies over at Horns Illustrated. If you have not, still have the 25th anniversary edition available. Awesome, coffee table piece and just great content in there from our friends over at Horns Illustrated. So appreciate all that they do. We also have the links in the description to subscribe and for membership there. So Texas OU, we've had some time to breathe. I think we had those of you who joined us on the live chat on Sunday, we really tried to talk through some things, but I think both of us have now actually gone through tape, right?
Yep.
And done some film study. I'm going to ask you a big picture question right off the bat. I think I'm going to already go off course from our agenda. Do you feel better or worse after rewatching the game?
I'm right in between. I mean, I just personally, from rewatching the game, I was really angry watching it there because it was the emotional aspect of it, but actually going back and rewatching the game and watching the live chat from you and you asking that question about the gap. It wasn't even close or something like that. I actually stepped back and watched the game again, and I noticed that the gap wasn't really that far. From my perspective, the gap was from effort and execution. We were actually right there with this team, and this team's a great team that we played, and we lost to them. I mean, they came and smacked us in the face, and we didn't know how to respond. I think if we get that preparation, I mean, you're watching that video, you have bulletin board material for 60 minutes that you can throw up. You don't have to hear any trash talk or anything like that. They walked in and smacked you in the face and took that game. So I feel that if we got another chance, we'd probably see a more physical game. I don't know if the outcome would be different, but I still think we're a pretty good team. I think we have a lot of injuries, and I don't want to use the injury bug as an excuse because no one's going to feel sorry for us with that. But trying to guard this team for 30 minutes, sprinting left and right, it's hard. It wears you down.
And you're talking about the 30 minutes of not
Their
having
ball possession. Their ball
because
possession.
the time possession, which we talked about a lot in our prep video initially, ended up pretty much being split down the middle. And I actually believe Texas ran more plays. I think we ran 10 more plays if I'm not mistaken. So across the board, some of the things played out how we thought, and some of the things did not go how we thought. Had an OU fan try to call me out about, hey, you guys were way off on your prep video, and your offensive line. You said your offensive line was the strength of your team, and they got their ass whooped. And I said, my answer to you, OU fan, they did.
They did.
100% correct. I was wrong. I was just as surprised as Zach Shackelford was. I underestimated, and the first OU player that impressed me that I have to give a shout out to is Neville Gallimore. He set the tone the first third down of the game, getting back there and blowing up Zach Shackelford and getting the sack, that lets you know how that day was going to go, just especially on the rewatch and looking at how dominant they were across their defensive line and the level of aggression at certain points in the game. There was also points in the game where we did pass protect well, where we did pick up some of those delayed blitzes, and then we were able to execute down the field and get Colin Johnson or Devin Duvernay, a good target and move the chain. So the other gap I will add, though, because I agree with you on the effort and execution piece. And when we talk about effort, I'm talking about, I asked this question in the live chat, did OU want the game more?
Yes.
That's what we're talking about, right?
Yes.
I'm not saying that nobody out there on Texas was dogging it or anything like that, but they just seem to have an extra pep in their step, a little bit extra juice. But they treated it like it was a big game, and they wanted to be in a big game, like it was like that bowl game type energy. You know what I mean? And then the execution, the drop passes, not communicating on the offensive line, the missed tackles, that goes across the board. Then the other thing though we have to add is the coaching. I still believe right now there's a coaching gap, and we'll go another big picture thing. There's a little bit of gap right now with the head coaches, because I'm going to get into some stuff about the defense and why I think Todd Orlando and his defense is actually taking too much heat right now. Tom Herman being the offensive guy, the analyst that we've brought in to have this offense humming. We come into this game averaging 40+ points a game, and we get stifled by Alex Grinch. But we also look at what Lincoln Riley does to adjust to our defense. And not always did they always end productively with a touchdown or points. No, but they didn't kill themselves the way we did, right? When you decide, because I'm gonna get your thoughts on this. When you decide not to turn off kick return, and part of it was emotional because our initial kick return after OU scored and we give up our normal Todd Orlando opening touchdown drive. Devin Duvernay does have a kick return, I believe, of like 32 yards. He gets to the 32-yard line, right? And so that was actually a good return. Yeah. We didn't get points, but it was one of those things where it was like, oh, okay, that looked good. From then on, kick return was a complete disaster. And that was on the coaching staff to not step in.
Such a disaster that one of the last kickoffs.
In the fourth quarter, yeah.
When Jameson said, hey, don't pull it out, like stop them, the crowd cheered that we took a touchback. I mean, that's how bad it was. And it to me, it seemed a little embarrassing, honestly. That
it was extremely embarrassing.
That we were just playing with field position like it was nothing. Like, hey, we're better than this. We'll dig ourselves out of it, and that's not the way you should play.
We didn't value field position, and that's where I talk about the coaching gap. Lincoln Riley actually played field position a lot of times throughout this game, which is kind of, counterintuitive of somebody who's an offensive guru. Sometimes it's just like, I just want the ball, we'll score from anywhere. But Lincoln Riley strategically did certain things in this game, and we helped him with that a lot. From a field position standpoint, our opening kickoff, we did one of the things you hate the most is the directional kick. Why do you hate the directional kick with us specifically?
Well, when we do the directional kick, we're also kicking it way too short. So we're kicking it around the 15-yard line. That means, hey, if we're quicker to get to that spot faster. However, didn't they get the ball to the 35? We gave away free yardage. We gave away free field position. I think I might be in the majority actually of the thought process of, hey, let's just kick it out the end zone and just, hey, let's put it on the 25 every single time. You don't have the option of someone actually returning it for a touchdown, or you don't give up a big play where you're at the 35 to 50. And I don't understand. We do have a kicker that can actually kick it to the end zone, so I don't know why we're not doing that.
And you're putting your defense in already starting out in a compromised position. One of the things I think that helped OU's defense is they're coming on. We have the ball at the 5-yard line consistently, at the 10-yard line or the 15-yard line. And being there in that stadium actually helped my perspective on this, because our offense, repeatedly was starting in the OU side of the stadium.
With their back against their
It was like
side,
as if we're playing in Norman now, right? And so now we have crowd noise issues where, we have false starts and, poor snaps, and we're not getting our calls in and all that. And when we're letting them off the hook by getting closer to midfield, and it's very rare that you ever play a football game like that. That's why you have to go to this game if you haven't, because it's like if you go further down the field, you can actually get out of the noise, right? You know what I mean? To like the pot, like your side of the field. And so we're letting OU off the hook by letting them take the ball to 35. And some of you may be saying, that why are you guys making such a big deal out of this? This is a game of inches. And still looking back, and I know, I said in the live chat, this game didn't feel like we were as close as the score indicated, but the score was the score, and you lost by 7. So now we got to nitpick if this could have gone differently, or if and a team that we may get to play again, assuming we take care of business the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, I mean, I personally think that the reason why they were so pumped and amped to play us was they took it as, hey, I think this is a play-in game for the Big 12 championship. Probably the winner of this game
for their resume
is going to definitely be in the Big 12 championship. And I think they took it as that, hey, let's win this. We'll get in there, and then if they happen to meet us there again, we'll re-prepare for them. And then so
I'm gonna go one step further than you though. Lincoln Riley's thinking playoffs. That's why he made the move. This is his resume builder. He knows they have to not only win the conference, but they have to beat Texas probably twice. Right? Twice. Now they have to beat Texas twice, because if they lose next time, they ain't going to the playoffs, right? So that's why he makes the move, the aggressive move, to go to Alex Grinch and try to just change the culture on defense. And again, you saw that initially, Kenneth Murray's tackle, where it looks like he almost ripped off Devin Duvernay's head. And we also play into that, right? One of the things that is just so frustrating is running the football 10 times with your running backs in a game like this, right? And we've had, we across the Texas message boards, radio stations, on this channel, on the live streams, everybody's like, well, Roschon should be the starting running back, Keontae, all that type of stuff. It doesn't matter who's starting if you're only going to run the football 10 times with your backs. If you're going to come into a football game and not establish your physical manner, and you have a defense on the other side that's really tuned up, get your body blows in. And the thing, too, that's also frustrating is we ran the football well when they got the ball. Keontae Ingram took his last carry with, I wrote it down here, 5:26 left in the second quarter. He took his last carry of the game for 7 yards. It was a first down run to get us to a 2nd and 3. And I know, and that's just Keontae. Roschon, who has an amazing game again, 95 yards on 8 carries. When he's coming off a 20-plus carry game. Now, look, Ingram's going to be the starter because, they got to put him out there as like the figurehead right now to build up the brothers' confidence. But I'm sorry, even with everything considered, 2 carries is not enough work. If I'm trying to get into any type of rhythm of the game. You could say he dropped a pass. He dropped a 1-yard pass where they were tackling him. Roschon Johnson should have been utilized even more in the pass game. I know he caught 4 passes, but the screen pass, again, another way to deal with pressure. Guys are heating up your offensive line. Take some pressure off and run a quick screen to your running backs. Y'all are so, and you told me it seemed like they were trying to build up something on the perimeter, maybe a trick play on the, and it just didn't come together. That could be the case.
It's because they blew it up. Are you talking about the wide receiver screens or the wide receiver?
The wide receiver screens, all the swing passes to Duvernay.
So everyone's dogging on those plays. They work against lesser competition, but when you're facing against a team that it's a one possession game technically, those guys are going to fly to the ball the same way our defensive backs are going to fly to the ball. Our outside linebackers are going to fly to the ball. I don't think it's necessary that you should be pulling it out during this game. I mean, maybe this next week against Kansas, you could probably use that. I mean, they have a pretty underrated defense, but I mean, this This is usually from historicals on this game, the team that wins the rushing battle, like you said, gives those little body blows, usually wins this game. And what was it, total of 12 rushes?
10.
10.
By
Okay.
the running backs.
By the running backs.
By the
themselves.
running backs. Sam takes 9 sacks. Now Duvernay did have 3 carries.
Because those passes were kind of
well, and they did hand off a couple. So overall, and then Sam had the other 10 with like quarterback run game, right? And which he also ran well at times. And you're not gonna get a 3 or 4 yard gain or 4 or 5 yard gain every time. Some of them are gonna be onesies and twosies. But even if you have a 2 yard gain and a 3 yard gain and you're in 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 4, it's third and makeable for our offense. Too many times in this game we were in 3rd and 12. 3rd and 18, 3rd and 14. That is not manageable. We're not built like that, all right? And especially against an opponent that's playing us in the manner in which they're playing us. Sometimes you take your 2 yard run on 1st down and 2nd and 8, like we did on the possession, because I charted all this. The possession we got after OU turns the football over after the Jalen Hurts fumble when
was it a fumble or the interception?
It was the first one was a fumble. Anthony Cook forces the fumble when he's trying to slide. We go Keontae Ingram, run for 3 yards.
Yeah.
And then we immediately go to our RPO, which
got the first down.
That got the first down to Duvernay. It helps slow down the rush. We actually got 3 first downs on that drive to count where we're actually moving the ball down the field, and that's where the coaching comes into play. They start to go lateral again with the screen. They forget about the run, and then they try to do some sort of quarterback something on 3rd and 6.
The RPO.
It wasn't even an RPO. It was like a option,
but he was following him.
It was weird.
Yes.
It was poor execution, but it's also a poor play call because that's not typically what you're accustomed to doing on 3rd and 6. That's uncharacteristic of your offense. And now the coaches have blundered a turnover, an opportunity to get points off a turnover, right? So when you have those type of things, and that leads me to the defense, right? Because we'll get back to the guys that fought in our game, like a Roshan Johnson, who, like I said before, unbelievable game, and was just underutilized. But defensively, I'm gonna give you the chart because I broke this down for all you people that are talking about Todd Orlando's giving up the most yards in school history and all these things. But let's consider the whole picture, okay, John?
Mm-hmm.
First half, this is OU. First possession, we gave up touchdown, which we always do. That started
touchdown or a field goal.
Touchdown or field goal, which we do every
Mark
week.
it down.
Surest thing in sports. We start the drive. We allow them to start the drive at
the 35.
The 35-yard line. The possession after that, we force a turnover in the red zone on the fumble. The possession after that, we force another turnover, the interception. Brandon Jones. We force a punt after that. This is just their first half chart. We force a punt after that, and then their last possession in the first half was a field goal. So if I told you the vaunted OU offense would go touchdown, turnover, punt, field goal, would you take it?
100%.
You'd take that against almost anybody in the Big 12. That's the entire first half. Okay?
Especially when we give away either a field goal or a touchdown every first drive. So I mean,
yes. So you conceded 7.
Technically, from what our norm is, you really only give away 3 points for
the half.
For
the half, and that's all the snaps considered. That's when Anthony Cook is still in the game, playing really well. You know, you're struggling on the perimeters, and you're struggling with the quarterback run, and you're struggling with CeeDee Lamb, which every team in the country will struggle with when it comes to Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma. But you're keeping it at bay. And Todd Orlando situationally is dialing up enough to at least force Jalen out of the pocket, hopefully make some bad decisions, and we got all that. The offense and our offensive coaching staff did not capitalize on those opportunities. And not only did they not capitalize, this is where you have to give a lot of credit to OU. OU punched them in the mouth.
Mm-hmm.
They came back and punched them in the mouth. They came back and hit Sam Ehlinger. All right? Even the second half chart for OU, when they came out and punted again, so that's another – these are stops, right? They punt. They get the ball. So we score after the punt, so it's 10-10. And that's where this is what great teams do. They answer
right away, and that's
and he goes to the flea flicker.
Yep.
And that flea flicker, let's talk about that real quick. One of the things we noticed, because a lot of people were complaining and giving us, giving us messages about we should have double teamed CeeDee Lamb and how do we deal with CeeDee Lamb and all this type of stuff. You guys are looking at CeeDee Lamb as if they're using him like Oklahoma State used Tylan Wallace. This brother was in the backfield.
So
60% of the time.
So let's go back to us setting up the little lateral to the swing pass to Devin Duvernay. We feel like throughout the game, if that actually started getting like 3-4 yards a play, that's going to turn into a pass. So they're setting
when they
up.
come
That's
up,
what we
they're setting
feel
up like a double pass type of thing.
that was about to happen.
Potentially, we would never know.
Now go to your.
So one of the things that they were doing was they were doing what it's called an orbit motion with CeeDee Lamb, right?
Comes where like a half crescent around the quarterback.
Exactly, and they did that consistently. And they would throw in the screen, and we were actually doing a decent job of covering that. Joseph
Osai had one of the best defensive plays
in the open field
against him like that.
Yeah, he throws Rambo and uses his length, extends, and makes a tackle on the open field. But every single time Jalen Hurts is doing his thing, CeeDee Lamb's actually 3-4 yards behind Jalen Hurts. How are you doubling he's basically a running back there. You're not going to be able to double that guy. But they're motioning him essentially from the outside receiver all the way around.
53 yards all the way
53 yard, but he's coming around. It's almost kind of like a CFL type of thing, right? And Oklahoma's been doing that type of orbit motion for a while, right? But they did it to perfection with CeeDee Lamb because Lincoln was trying to set something up. Lincoln then adds in, starts running some dive off of it and starts handing the football off. But every single time, and he's just watching to see how we're defending CeeDee Lamb. And eventually, what does he do? He hands the football off, and the running back pitches it back.
We
reacted to it, and now CeeDee Lamb's running down. That's how he got open so easily, right? And there's several different plays. They also did a brilliant job of mixing in jet motion with CeeDee Lamb. And he handed the ball off on jet sweep a couple times to CeeDee Lamb. They would run him. It's kind of like how the Saints use Alvin Kamara a lot. He used him essentially like a running back receiver hybrid in this game. It's not like Tylan Wallace where he's just out there at the X or the Z and playing mano a mano football. Now CeeDee Lamb can play like that. Don't get it twisted. He's got a sick release off the line of scrimmage. But in this offense, it's on steroids, essentially, with a coach like that's going to utilize his skill set. So that's something to look out for if we get the opportunity.
If we earn the opportunity.
Earn the opportunity to play them again. But that's how they were able to set up their big play, and we weren't. After the flea flicker, they come back
to execution once again.
We hold them to a field goal when we had that. To me, the game-changing where we really lost the game, the Colin Johnson drop. I'm talking about when we have the possession. It's 17-10.
The quick slant.
The slant. He drops the slant where he could have had big yards, right? Hits right off his execution. That's not coaching. That's it. The quarterback has executed. The line did a good enough job. Your senior captain wide receiver who's an NFL draft hopeful has to make that catch. Okay? The very next play is second and whatever. This is after the offensive line has gotten a false start. There's, I think, 1 or 2 penalties. We're all the way in our own end zone. The week before, when we threw out of our end zone, we executed that 7 route to Devin Duvernay. This coaching staff has actually shown a trust in Sam that he's going to make that's how they want to attack. We throw the 9 route down the sideline of Brennan Eagles, and what happens?
Hits him right in the hands, bobbles it 3 times, and it falls. Even the defensive back, he fell down.
Motley fell down.
That's 6 right there. And it changes the complexity of the game.
Right.
It does.
That's not Tim Beck's fault.
Yeah.
That's a great play call. That's 17-17 right there.
Yeah. I mean, they saw the one-on-one on there, and they knew that Brennan Eagles could actually beat him. He just didn't execute.
Yeah. So the coaches are like, all right, we gave y'all 2 opportunities to get aggressive here and really make some big plays out of our end zone. Both of them, our wide receiver room in that particular series let us down. Now we do quarterback run to get ourselves out of the end zone, get some room for the punt. We get a poor punt. Now Oklahoma gets the ball at the 38-yard line. Defense holds up and only allows a field goal. But they're the ones to blame. Okay. The next possession, they get a turnover on downs when Jalen Hurts does the behind-the-back Superman play on Osai, and he, bobbles the ball and he throws it for 11 yards. The very next play, now this was Oklahoma's fault. Jalen misses the quick slant. It's a turnover on downs. All of these are opportunities that we don't capitalize
on. Nope.
So, yes, the defense has missed tackling issues. Yes, people want to talk about we need to get out of the 3-3-5 and go to a 4-man
Can I talk
front.
about the missed tackling?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Please.
Yes, we are not the best at form tackling through our secondary. With that said, I would like to see anyone else play with the depth that our defensive backs have been playing with and try to tackle CeeDee Lamb midway through the fourth quarter.
They should have made the tackle on the flea flicker. He made a great play.
On the first person should have made the tackle. The other ones, when he's running full speed and cutting ankles,
he's going to make those guys miss.
Make those guys miss. The first person should have made that tackle, or at least slowed him up where someone could have.
Right. I felt so. To your earlier point about effort, though, the two CeeDee Lamb touchdowns, the one where Brandon Jones is hanging off his back later in the game, where Jalen throws it and he kind of slides off his back. If you notice, there's two other guys there. I think Deshaun Jameson was one of them, and I forgot who the other person was.
Probably Chris Brown.
They're kind of like jogging because they're now an assumption is being made that
he's going to push him
out of bounds or make the tackle. Okay. We didn't rally to the football. So the one thing I think can help right away is we got to have 11 hats to the ball. A good example of this is Keandre Coburn, my freaking guy, realized, hey, I'm not going to assume Chris Brown's going to make the tackle in the open field on Jalen Hurts. And he kept running down. And he's the biggest person. That's really hard for him to do.
That's what I said is that he has a motor.
Yes.
That kid has a motor.
Yeah, he didn't assume that my guy over here is going to make the tackle. And I can let up a little bit. The flea flicker touchdown, because everybody's showing the meme on Twitter and all that type of stuff of the four dudes around him. And I get it. But everyone just stopped and assumed Joseph Osai was going to make the tackle. And then once CeeDee Lamb breaks that tackle and he gets acceleration, dudes are like their jog.
It's done.
Sprint to the freaking ball, and you can finish the play, right? So those are effort things. Tom Herman talked about in the press conference yesterday that they hadn't been tackling because of the injury woes. That speaks to your point about able bodies for Todd Orlando. We totally understand that. But I love the fact that Tom Herman did say there are other ways and other drills you can do in practice to address tackling. A big part of it is angle drills. I think the number one thing that they need to work on in practice, along with getting the tackling and the physicality buttoned up where it needs to be defensively, is they need to fix whatever the hell's going on with outside contain. I know the immediate solution to people is like, we need to go to a four-man front that'll help us. Guys, there were several times in this game where they did go to a four-man look. Now, they didn't have four people with their hands in the dirt, but Osai was essentially walked up there as the fourth person on the line. They still have poor principles. I'm talking about secondary as well as my outside linebackers or even my defensive ends where we're not shedding blocks well enough. This, you know who would have really thrived? Two people I thought of that would have thrived in this game the way OU played us. Anthony Wheeler and Gary Johnson would have had a field day in this game with their skill set. And Deli, and Juwan Mitchell, to me, they struggled a little bit just getting there because we had to play our linebackers because a lot of people that hadn't seen OU and really studied them, you assume that they're running kind of like more of their traditional spread like they ran with Baker and Kyler. But they had an H-back in there. They would go to 21 personnel a bunch of times. So we actually had to play out of our base and only have 5 DBs on the field. I have a question for you. The DB injuries and all the type of stuff, do you think that's also because we're asking guys, especially the safeties, to play so many linebacker responsibilities to where they're having to take on blocks from offensive linemen and do all these different types of things that their bodies and themselves may not be accustomed to? Like, what do you think the rash of injuries on their side of the ball, What do you attribute that to?
So we have to look at it. So Caden Stearns is a knee injury, right? I think his is a knee injury. It was like a sprained knee.
I believe so. Yeah.
And I think they said he hurt it during practice in spring ball.
And then it was like got worse and
and it just progressively got worse. So we can't really say that us blitzing from depth, utilizing him, that was the cause of it. It might have kind of finished it. So him, no. I think B.J. Foster, he tries to go for kill shots all the time, and he's not really protecting himself that much, and I think that's just starting to wear on him a little bit, and it's kind of getting in his head because even there's a couple times where he kind of hand tackled someone instead of wrapping up.
He didn't look healthy.
He didn't look healthy, yeah.
He didn't look healthy in this game.
What's Chris Brown just broke his arm. I mean, so I wouldn't say that's the safety.
Yeah. Okay.
Safety blitzes are the ones that are handling it. I just think it's honestly them actually making plays and just it's freak accidents. I mean, you can't really say that that's the reason, because a lot of the times when they do blitz, it's delayed blitzes from them, so there's actually holes for them to break through, or they come around the side.
Sure.
So, I mean, I don't think it's from them hitting offensive linemen or anything like that.
Last thing I'll say is big picture. I was a little bit more encouraged by this defense after watching this game. I know they gave up 500-plus yards. I know they got worn down at the end of the game with the run. But they did the best they could with the guys they had. And I'm not ready to go to the whole alignment shift. The only thing I was frustrated with schematically on defense was how they were doing their defensive line substitutions. We almost got into a brawl with our friend over this.
No, okay, so let me paint the picture here. Let me set the stage. So we go on that drive that you were talking about where we got 3 first downs, and then we had, I guess, a brain fart on play calling. We punted, perfect punt. Got us
Dashevsky.
Backspin and all. Landed at the 5-yard line. We were excited. They're on our side of the field. We got field position. Out trots on the defensive line.
I'm gonna tell you the 3 people that trotted out there.
Him and I looked at like, why is our third string D line in? Our friend Brandon stated, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's early in the game. We got to make sure it's
they're fresh.
They're fresh for later on in the game." Our thought process is, hey, we need to use this as an opportunity. Maybe make them go for a 3 and out. Enjoy the fact that
play field position.
We have the crowd yelling at them for once.
Right.
Play field position. If they get a first down, hey, then we can start substituting left and right and having all our 3 different line changes coming in. And
dude, the defense had been out for about 10 minutes. Like real time, right? Like
because we had
3 first
and then
downs,
the TV timeout.
The TV timeout. They were fresh. We come out with Jamari Chisholm, Jacoby Jones, and Moro Ojomo. Mm-hmm. And no disrespect to those guys. They are part of the rotation. They've earned the right to play.
It's not Coburn.
I'm a big believer in situational football. And if they're backed up like that, I need Keandre Coburn to be on the field. I need Malcolm Roach, when he was eligible, to be on the field. Taquan Graham or Sweat. I need my jug butts out there, okay? I'll be real with you. Jacoby Jones is not there physically. He hasn't been in the program long enough. So when you're putting him out there in that type of situation, I don't know if they were trying to look for more some quickness or what. I would love to get an answer to that. Now, it ended up turning out where that was a drive where we ultimately got the interception with Brandon Jones, but we have the ball all the way down there, and we could potentially have gotten a turnover or a quick punt or something else out of that.
Flip the field position.
And flip the field.
They already flipped the field position.
I didn't agree with that.
I didn't at all either.
I'm not saying Todd Orlando should be fired or anything like that, but I'm just saying you cannot trot out Chisholm, Ojomo, and Jacoby Jones in that situation.
Yeah, it was a very important portion of the game too. Because what was it? It wasn't 10-3 yet, right?
No.
It was 10-0?
No, it was 7-0 still.
7-0, okay.
Yeah, it was still 7-0. But it's just an opportunity to try to produce a turnover. Mm-hmm. And you got to say, hey, guys, we finally got them backed up. I need my horses right now.
That's
all I'm
trust
saying.
me. There's a video out there.
Yeah. Parting things on OU. Again, credit to them. They were the more prepared team.
Yep.
They wanted it more. I personally felt like this game wasn't as close as the 7-point spread, but I do leave the film seeing opportunities where we can execute better, and I do see how we can beat this team. I'm not going to say that the gap is so wide where we can't beat them, but it's going to take a certain level of execution, and the coaches just got to be freaking smarter, man.
Execution, focus, and intensity.
I do want to give
we need to match their intensity.
Absolutely. Okay. I do want to give a shout out to Pat Fields on OU, number 10. He had a brilliant game, in my opinion. He was all over the place. Seemed, just jumped off the screen to me. The delayed blitz he had on Sam on the sack was amazing. So he had a pretty good game. But Motley and Brown, their two corners on the sides,
they are who we thought
they were. And we let them off the hook.
They can
let those brothers off the hook.
No offense. Any OU fans that are watching this, they cannot guard our receivers one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
They can't.
And we let them off the hook with drops. Mm-hmm. We let them off the hook with not targeting them enough. But every time we got into a jam on even some of those third and longs that we did convert, it was Motley or Brown that was getting mossed, even in the end zone. And later in the game, we started generating pass interference calls. Those guys can't hang with them. So in a rematch, those are going to be areas of opportunity. The run game in general, Kansas was able to run the ball effectively early in the game against OU because you come out and punch aggressive teams in the mouth. We have to establish that. Roschon Johnson is going to have to be involved early the next time. You can't mess around and do the whole thing and trying to be cute and be side to side. Hopefully we've gotten that out of our system. But I do leave this game, and that's the other thing I missed on even the defense. Third downs, OU was 3 of 12.
Let's go back to what you just said. You said hopefully they can learn something from this game. I think that's the same sentiment that Tom Herman said. He said there's no real failure. It's what you can learn from it, right? I mean, he needs to look at himself in the mirror at that too, because
they do.
Going away from the run is irresponsible.
But failure can come when you continuously make repeated mistakes, and when we see the same mistakes being made over and over and over again. And so schematically, they also have to, if they're going to ask the players to be held accountable, they have to do it. Because you telling me those players aren't in the film room watching and seeing what Lincoln Riley's doing with some of their personnel over there and making the game easier for them. And that's something that Sam Ehlinger talked about that was controversial. We can talk about some of the sub-stories. Sam Ehlinger talking about OU's defense was pretty simple, which allowed them to fly around and play with confidence. And now you're hearing our coaches talk about, well, maybe we need to simplify things. It shouldn't take this happening to you to have those type of realizations, especially when your guys are banged up and people are injured, right? We want to have people reacting quicker. Now, again, on the rewatch, I was a little bit more encouraged by it, but there's other things that the coaches can do to help guys out, right? Moving on to the Ingram-Sam Ehlinger argument. Big deal or no deal or little deal?
I mean, it might be for for Ingram's psyche, because I feel he's losing confidence by the day. Honestly, started with that miscatch in LSU. You see him not getting the carries, and he's having to split it with Roschon. I think if I'm Sam and I'm the leader, you need to pull him aside and you need to have a conversation with him. I mean, yelling at each other on the sideline. You're at Texas. That's a lightning rod for news for people to try to split things up.
Sure.
So,
but don't you think? When I played, I got into not shouting matches, but I mean,
were you on the national stage?
No, absolutely not. Far from it.
That's a huge. That's
far
the
from it.
Big
far
difference.
From it.
Because I think people are blowing it out of proportion, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it was probably just a missed assignment that they were talking about.
Kill Brandon in the second quarter.
True.
People thought we were getting ready to come to blows the way we were arguing. And then by the end of the game, we're taking pictures.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like, I mean, how much of that is because it's Keontae of all people, and he's the one been under the microscope, and people want him completely out of the lineup at this point, which is fine. And Roshan,
just go get some wings, use some Boston
Ranch,
and then just talk it over.
There you go, just talk it over. Yeah, but I think Keontae, and I'm not saying either of one was right or wrong because I wasn't there. I don't know the context of what y'all are talking about. You know, and it goes into like the last thing I'll say about the OU thing too, the pregame stuff. You know, the talking before the game. I know you took,
but I told you that was going to happen. Like the difference between the Big 12 championship and this game was all the trash talking before the game here. Big 12 laser focus from both teams, right? A nervous focus for both teams. So I mean it's a rivalry game that you're gonna get that, and I think it was ridiculous.
But a lot of people are upset with the offensive line though because they started.
Oh, it started before the game. Yeah. No. They shouldn't have done that before the game. BJ Foster shouldn't have said anything about, oh yeah, he won't be able to take our hits or something like that. Brendan Eagles on stage screaming, that. I mean, the people that were the ones that were talking, you notice they're the ones who got made look like a fool during the games. I mean, BJ Foster probably got himself hurt and he missed a couple tackles. Brendan Eagles dropped two passes, one a huge one, and then the offensive line just got completely owned. So, I mean, maybe they learned from that mistake.
Unnecessary humbling moment. So, Kansas. We have Kansas. We can't forget about that. We do need to do some prep. We open as a 21.5 point favorite, I believe. We do get to come back home.
Which I think is high, actually.
You think that's high?
I think it's high.
It's because they're Jekyll and Hyde. They also got destroyed by.
But then you gotta factor in the fact that they were awful week. We just had a really emotional game, and everyone gets pumped to play Texas.
Sure, so Les Miles.
Yeah.
And look, Kansas is going to be really fun to watch develop and grow and see what Les does with that program. I personally love Les Miles, Mad Hatter, and everything, all his weirdness about him. He's definitely going to make that program.
Still eating grass?
I don't know if he's still eating grass, but, they have some good players over there. They have a veteran quarterback.
Probably, arguably, maybe one of the best running backs in the Big 12.
Absolutely. And he gave us fits last year. Yeah. Puka Williams, fantastic runner. Robinson had a really good game the last time we got to see him against OU.
And your fun fact, you want to say?
Oh, yeah. Well, Carter Stanley, right, who's been in the Big 12 forever, beat us in 2016, right? In the program-changing day. That was officially the end of the Charlie Strong era. So Carter Stanley was the one who got that W in Lawrence, Kansas. Played again. He actually started the game the following year and had 3 touchdowns against us in Austin. We didn't get to see him last year, but he's a veteran. He's thrown the ball pretty well. 12 touchdowns, only 4 picks, and they've been. They still lean on Puka in the run game, and they got a couple solid backs along with Puka. Carter Stanley doesn't move around a whole lot, but he's run against us in the past randomly. It's always what's his name? The West Virginia quarterback that was Austin Kendall.
Oh, that was like Will Greer?
Yeah, he didn't move against anybody, and then they started running around on us. But this is a handle your business game. I'm sorry, all right?
Yeah.
Kansas. They got blown out by TCU, but then they also were competitive against West Virginia, and I think there's a gap there.
Is Malcolm Roach out for the first half?
Probably because it was second half penalty, right, on the targeting.
Yeah,
but that should not factor into this.
No, I get it, but I just
if we're not where we want to be as a program. If we're starting to, I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to be, a dick to Kansas or anything like that, but. I don't think they're going to have the horses to go the full 4 quarters, especially with this being the first leg of the redemption tour to get that rematch in Dallas. Can't fall asleep at the wheel. Anything else you're trying to look forward to in this matchup with Kansas. Do you think we cover?
No, I don't think we cover. I don't think we. I don't think. Like I said, I think the 21.5, is that what you said, is a little bit too high. I would set it probably around 17, because I think what we'll do is we'll actually try to establish the run, and we'll just try to play clock control. We won't try to be as explosive as an offense. We'll just go in, try to come out clean and no injuries, no more injuries. Go into TCU, and then go into TCU after that.
Okay.
But I will see you'll see a more focused team, I think.
First stop on the redemption tour, guys. I actually do think we cover. I think we have to come out and for the sake of confidence, for the offensive line, for the whole offense, they owe us a game. They owe us a lot, right? And they owe the team that. And I think they're going to start to realize, like, just with the way this defense is right now, they're just going to have to put up points, man. They're going to have to score points and then at least allow the defense to play with the lead. I've said this, I think I said this during the OU game. We've gotten too comfortable in big games because they've gotten better at this against opponents like this. But in the really big games, we've gotten too comfortable with playing from behind and doing the whole – it's just like the freaking Cowboys. We got off to a slow start.
Playing from behind. Has anyone found out if we are playing from behind in the fourth quarter, how many fourth quarter comebacks we've had?
We've asked that question several times. I don't think we've had –
except Tech. That's the only thing I can think of.
So we have to play with a lead. And we have to – and it starts with –
And I don't think Tech ever led. I think they just tied it up against us, because we were up quite a bit that game, and then they tied it up, and then we caught that touchdown
with Humphrey.
Yeah.
Somebody fact check. At the point of recording, I don't remember off the top of my head if that would qualify as
it's late tonight.
Quarterback comeback or fourth quarter comeback for Sam Ehlinger. Look, Sam Ehlinger, I also left that game feeling better about him. I know in the video we did, I said they kind of exposed some limitations, which I still stand by. But we only lost by 7 because he's a freaking warrior, and just said he had that effort moment in this game because he's so freaking competitive, where he just started running and doing whatever he had to do. He jumped over somebody. He'd start, still hitting his throws when he had to, and he got us in the end zone a couple times to keep us in the game from a score perspective. So the only reason why that game even was close as was because of number 11. And I know the Heisman stuff is probably gone for him, but I was still encouraged by his toughness and his competitiveness, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that.
Of course.
I think I was a little hard on him about a couple of the missed throws and the decisions, and I didn't like what he did with the intentional grounding. But overall, he was a freaking warrior, and he got hit unnecessarily a bunch of times, and he continued to battle for this program and this team. So encouraged still by him, no doubt about it. Speaking of the Heisman, we did promise everybody we'd do our Heisman power rankings as they stand. And do you want to go first, or should I go first?
No, you can go first. It's fine.
Okay, so
because we do have a couple differences.
Okay, so my top 5 as it stands right now, and this is just, the 5 individuals who I believe right now. I believe all 5. I think it's going to be a more wide open race when I think about who's going to actually get invited to New York. I think we could have a year where this is 4 or 5 people get invited. So right now, I have Joe Burrow at number 1. I was so impressed with him in the Florida game this past week in Death Valley. He didn't get the football a whole lot, and he diced up a really good Florida defense. I know brother's going to be like, well, they were really banged up coming out of the Auburn game. And I don't care. I saw Henderson out there. I saw all the brothers out there, and he was dicing. He was literally putting the football on the money every single time, hitting people in the stride. An unbelievable performance. And if you look at what Joe Brady does in their offense, guys, they were still running the football and established their ground game. They maintained that integrity. That's something that our offensive coaching staff needs to take a note of. Number 2 for me, I have Tua from Bama. Just went in and kept the party going in College Station. The Aggies, man. That's a whole nother. They didn't cover this time, man. My buddy said
That's
they were
all
going.
that I've heard from Aggie fans is like, I hope they cover. That's like
They didn't cover this time, man. But Tua's just been sensational. Somehow he's gotten better than last season, if that was even possible, and he's healthy. So the Tua Burrow thing right now, they're my at the top of my list. That'll all get settled in Tuscaloosa in a few weeks.
Okay.
Number 3 for me, I have Jalen Hurts. He got his big win over Texas. Now, at the original rankings, I actually had Hurts number 1 because of the running and passing. I actually think Texas exposed a couple things with Jalen. I think you're starting to see it's more system with him from a Lincoln Riley perspective. He's not truly comfortable throwing the ball to anybody else other than CeeDee Lamb when you force him into certain looks, right? He's not gonna sit back there and go through his progressions. And he's shown a propensity to turn the football over when he's under duress. We've actually seen that the last couple weeks now, right? So I actually have him down a little bit, but with the big win and the rushing yards, he's still running the football like a madman. And he'll have the stats. He'll have the stats, and he might be undefeated going into the Big 12 championship game. Jonathan Taylor, I have at 4 from Wisconsin. Touchdown machine, over 800 yards, 14 touchdowns, rushing some more in the receiving game, and he's leading a really, really good Wisconsin team. And then the last guy I have is Justin Fields, who is your new hot transfer right this year outside of Jalen Hurts. He's been sensational. I've been a big Justin Fields fan since the Elite 11 when he actually
QB1.
He actually defeated Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people don't remember that he was actually the Elite 11 MVP over Trevor Lawrence, and they've had this little rivalry going back and forth now. So Justin Fields has put his name in for Ohio State. So that's my top 5: Burrow, Tua, Jalen, Jonathan Taylor, and Justin Fields.
So mine's a little bit different. I have Burrow number 1 because of the numbers he's putting up, and he has played 2 pretty good teams, I would say. And I'd say he basically was perfect in those games. Number 2, I actually jumped Jonathan Taylor all the way up to number 2. I just think he's just a fantastic running back. I think he's a all-purpose back. He's gone after this year. I mean,
has to be.
He's gone. He's gone. And he's taking Wisconsin. And, of course, he could drop. I mean, he has to get by Ohio State. And if he does get by Ohio State, he may actually bump past. Wisconsin has a great defense. But, he's their offensive weapon. I mean, he's their everything. Number 3, I have Tua. Only reason why I have Tua so low is he honestly hasn't played anyone. I know Aggie fans will probably be upset that I said that, but Texas A&M isn't where they should be. Honestly, they're not. I mean, when they're
underwhelming.
When they're saying, I hope that we beat the spread. That's a win for them. I mean, so. He hasn't played anyone. He'll play LSU. He'll play Auburn, and then he'll play maybe the SEC championship, depending on how they go against LSU. What was that, number 3 or 4?
That was 3.
Okay, 4 is Hurts. Like you said, I think we exposed a lot of them, and not only that, I think everyone's discrediting how great CeeDee Lamb is. He does make him. A couple of those passes aren't long passes, but however, he gets credit for all those yards that he does for him. I mean, that flea flicker was what, a 15-yard pass?
Like a 20-something yard pass,
but he turned it to 51. So I mean, him and Rambo and all the weapons he has around him. So I think that he's a victim of all the talent that's around him. And then the last one, number 5, I'm having Chuba. And the only reason why is if I have Jonathan Taylor so high, you have to give credit to Chuba as well. He's doing pretty much equivalent numbers to Jonathan Taylor. Yes, he's on a losing team, but he's also doing it in a Power 5 conference. But he also has over 200 yards rushing more than him. the same position.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they actually are a passing offense too. So it's if I'm going to have to give credit to Jonathan Taylor, I mean, Chuba's doing really well on his own namesake. So I mean, that's the reason why I have him so low, is that they're just not that successful of a team.
Chuba's been fantastic this year. I don't know if he'll have to pull off some upsets.
Yeah.
They'll have to like beat OU.
No. I'm actually I think that only 3 people will be invited to the Heisman place. So that's, I mean,
when it's all said, when the smoke clears, and interesting. Well,
Fields, I think Justin Fields is great young talent, but I think at this point he's just 1 year away from probably being. But I mean, things can change down the line. I mean, he's got some big games ahead of him.
He's got some
if he shows up for those games, you know, he jump into the top 3. Who knows?
So, guys, I mean, please chime in. Just all thoughts in terms of our final thoughts on Texas OU, thoughts on our redemption tour, the rest of this Big 12 season. You know, Baylor is undefeated right now. There's a lot of landmines that are still to come. Nothing is given. That's the other thing I want to say.
There shouldn't be any landmines anymore. This is we have to take it by the mindset of we have to win out if we want a shot at.
Well, there's Texas fans acting like we're just entitled to this rematch in December.
It's bullshit. no offense. I mean, it is.
We're like entitled to just show up, and we're gonna be in Arlington. And it's like, guys, 1 week at a time.
Maybe those fans already have tickets to the game or something like that.
I mean, they could, but it's just, you know, and I know I've even said, and I stand by this, I do believe there is a gap between OU and Texas right now, and I believe there's a gap between Texas and the rest of the conference, and I think we will see that play out. But that doesn't mean that you can just, you know, waltz into Waco in a few weeks and beat them, or waltz into Ames, Iowa, and beat them. Like, that's not going to happen.
Can be beaten. Oh, look at the 0-4 Jets.
Don't bring that shit up right now.
Sorry.
Come on, man. Too soon. Anyway, I appreciate everybody that tunes in.
Same here.
Make sure you hit the like button. Your brother's been doing some research here, and the algorithm says the more likes we get, the more this video will pop up on other people's channels and recommended videos, so we can add more people to the community, and you guys can help us out in growing this channel. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you haven't hit that like button yet, and you've been watching the whole video, smash the like button, and appreciate you.
Oh, we will be at the Kansas game too, right?
Oh, yeah. We are going to be at the Kansas game. So come by, say hello. Appreciate all the people we got to see up in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl. And those of you who have reached out on all of our social media, remember to follow us below. But, guys, just appreciate everything. Shout out again to our sponsors, Boss's Ranch. Y'all go check them out. Guys, horns always up.